Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today will be another true crime video. If you guys have noticed, all I'm doing now is true crime videos. I was gonna do reaction videos, but then I was like, that's not really what I want to do. I just feel like the time I spend reacting to videos, I could have just written notes. What is on my face? Oh, jeez, sorry. I could have just written new notes on a new case and done a new true crime video. So I'm just gonna stick to doing true crime. I'm gonna begin every video by reminding people that if you were originally on my channel for the drama and the vlogs and videos with my twin sister or my family or Bad Girls Club related stuff, those videos are still being made. They are just going on the Victor Twins Wave channel. So all you have to do is subscribe. The link is in the description box. Lots of content. We post every day or every other day depending on how busy we are or what our personal lives are set up like, but there is content forever going on there, and some of my old YouTube videos that are good but don't really correlate with what I'm doing now on my channel will be moved to the Wave channel. So if you want to go back to see a classic but the classic has been removed, it is probably on our Wave channel. So feel free to subscribe to our Wave channel, and it's great content. With that being said, let's talk about today's video. Today's true crime video was suggested by James Gadsden. I want to thank James. I believe you left a comment on one of my previous YouTube videos and I told you to email me the suggestion, and you did, so I want to thank you for that. I want to thank anyone who emails me a suggestion, and I hopefully I tell these stories that you want me to tell. I hope I give these stories justice. So thank you, James, for sending that suggestion. He suggested that I cover the case on former VH1 reality TV star Ryan Jenkins, who murdered his wife, Jasmine Fiore, and then ultimately killed himself in a hotel room when he booked it from police. Now on my channel, in my personal videos, I've talked about reality TV, I've talked about shit that's happened behind the scenes. I've told all of you that there's been times where I was like, how did this cast member even pass the psych exam? And I've witnessed behaviors and I've witnessed cast members act in certain ways where you know that their trauma or whatever they've been through in their life is so deeply rooted that being on reality TV is probably not the therapy that they need. There'll be times where something happens or someone says something and you're just like, what the f? How did they pass the psych exam? Granted, everyone has issues. I have issues. You have issues. The person next to you have issues. Everyone in this world has issues. No one is perfect. But when it comes to reality TV, producers like to exploit people because of their issues. They love people that are super fucked up. The more fucked up a person is, the more entertaining television is gonna be. If you're narcissistic and they know you're narcissistic, hey, that can play a good storyline in a dating show. If you had some type of trauma in a past relationship with a boyfriend, hey, maybe we can use a little bit of that trauma but not too much of it to get a winning shot in this dating show that we're producing. At the end of the day, producers aren't really our friends. They're out to get the highest rated television show, the highest viewed episode. They're all about themselves, the network, and ratings, really, at the end of the day. So I thought this story would be interesting to cover next because no one has talked about this story, and I'm kind of shocked that there's not 550 different people dissecting everything that's going on with this case. There's actually really not that many news videos on YouTube to even watch on this case. There's not even that many articles to read on this case, and I'm just like, how is no one really discussing this horrific crime and how it all played out? So I thought it was important, especially since I kind of understand Hollywood and reality TV, to cover this case so I can give my 2 cents on everything I believe was a factor in Jasmine's untimely, tragic, horrific death. Jasmine Fiore, the victim in this case, was born in 1981. When she was 8 years old, her parents got divorced and she went to go stay with her mother, Lisa Lepore, and was born and raised, and they stayed in Bonnie Doon, California. Before this case, I have never in the history of ever heard of this part of California. When Jasmine was growing up, she considered herself a tomboy. She had long blonde hair. She liked to play football. She had a job at the local grocery store. She liked to horseback ride. She was a fun, energetic, loving little girl. At some point, Jasmine decided she no longer wanted to be a tomboy and she actually wanted to be a swimsuit model. She had big dreams of getting out of this small town and heading to a busy city. And and Jasmine took the steps to do just that. She did take pictures in swimsuits. She classified herself as a swimsuit model. She oftentimes got hired to do body paint at private parties and special events at casinos in Las Vegas. She attended popular parties, such as parties at the Playboy Mansion with Hugh Hefner. Jasmine was desirable by many men, and she also hung out with a lot of celebrities. Her small town life was now becoming exactly what she planned it to be. She's meeting popular people. She's going to exclusive parties. She's young. She's having fun. She's living her quote-unquote best life. Jasmine also appeared in adult chat line commercials. And for those who don't know what that is, it's like those commercials that come on, I think, late in the morning at 2 or 3 a.m. where a sexy woman is talking in a sexy voice and they tell you to call the hotline if you want to talk to her or someone else that looks just as good on the phone. Basically, it's for men and or women to call and have phone sex. A lot of people would judge her lifestyle, starring in adult commercials, posing basically nude at parties. But Jasmine was young. She had no kids, she was single, and she was most importantly having fun. And at the end of the day, everyone's life is what they choose it to be. So at this point in her life, if this is what she wanted to do, if she wanted to go to the Playboy Mansion and hang out with UFC fighters or Hugh Hefner or Paris Hilton, she could do just that because she controls her own environment. No one else could do that for her. So a lot of people judged her lifestyle. But to me, a lot of people in LA, a lot of girls in LA, live the same lifestyle that Jasmine lives. A lot of people outside of LA live the same life that Jasmine's living. Going to exclusive parties, staying out late partying. Jasmine's lifestyle is not uncommon. I know plenty of girls that live to go to exclusive parties so they can meet more people and be more in tune with what's going on because they strive to be part of that environment. It's not shocking, and I don't know why people would judge how someone else wants to live their life. Unless, of course, like that person was a piece of shit and was living their life shitty and was doing shitty shit to shitty people to get where they were going. That I understand. But to just judge someone because they're doing what they gotta do to pay their bills so they could then set up their life for the future is weird to me. Jasmine was doing jobs such as getting body painting or doing an adult chat line commercial because she was saving money to set up her future goals. Jasmine obtained a real estate license. She wanted to eventually get into real estate, make money that way, and she also had plans to open her own gym and be a personal trainer at the gym. So what she was doing now had nothing to do with what she had planned for herself in the future. Friends and family of Jasmine describe her as fun, bubbly, kind, generous, and always treated others with respect. And although she hung out with celebrities and hung out with people that were in the limelight, she remained humbled. She never acted like she was better than anybody else. And a lot of people, once they start getting cool friends and going to cool parties, they do start acting like they're too good for the same people that loved them and hung out with them when they didn't have all that. So, according to her friends and family, she did not let that type of lifestyle change her. She was kind and she was humble, and through, she was just this bubbly, kind human being. Marta Montoya, who was a friend of Jasmine's for about 1.5 years. Now, to me, 1.5 years is not a long time to be friends with someone at all. But she got interviewed at some point, and during her interview, she said that Jasmine had a previous relationship with a man named Robert Hosman. Her and Robert were completely smitten with each other. He would do anything for her. She wanted to settle down with him. He felt the same way about her, but for some reason, I couldn't find anywhere why they broke up, but for some reason, they broke up, and settling down didn't seem to happen for them. Although they were together for a long time, they didn't end up settling with one another. Now, Marta did this interview and told whoever she was interviewed by that she had this long-term relationship with Robert, but then had no details on why the relationship ended. So I couldn't find it online anywhere. Honestly, there's not much online about this case, which is insane to me, but I could not find much online about her previous relationships other than names. Again, 1.5 years of friendship is not that long, and also if you're only friends with someone 1.5 years, you might not be giving ins and outs and full-on details of your romantic relationships to them. It takes me a while to open up to people, so I don't know how Jasmine worked, or if 1.5 years is a long time and this person in fact knew everything about her relationships and their breakups, etc. But again, I have no idea how her relationship with Robert ended. In 2005, Jasmine met another man named Travis Henrich. They got engaged, but the engagement lasts, I think, between 6 months or even less than half a year. They called off their engagement sometime at the end of 2006 or the beginning of 2007. And although they called off their engagement, her and Travis still continued to date, which is weird to me because I don't know why you would date someone who you were engaged to but then got unengaged to, because obviously if you got unengaged it's because you both know that there's no future between y'all. So I don't really get that part of the story. Like, I don't know why she kept dating him. And again, couldn't find much online about her past relationships or why they broke up or why an engagement didn't work. But they called off their engagement but still continued to date, which really is kind of a waste of time. But to each his own. Ryan Alexander Jenkins was born on February 8th, 1977 in Victoria, Canada. He came from a pretty wealthy family. He himself ended up being driven solely by money. Although he was driven by money, he seemed to have money troubles. It was almost like everything he touched just turned to shit and just didn't work out for him. People described Ryan as being confident, overly cocky, but usually the case is if a man is super confident and super cocky, it's probably because he's not confident at all, which was exactly what happened with Ryan. His insecurities were wild. He masked his insecurities with his ego, but it didn't work out for him. Ryan's life and his money were not where he wanted it to be, where he expected it to be. He got so good at acting like it was. It just became this daily routine. Acting like he was rich, acting like he got his shit together, acting like he didn't have absolutely nothing to offer was his full-time job. And he got so goddamn good at it, he fooled everyone around him. Ryan could manipulate the out of other people, especially women. He was a playboy and he would trick women into thinking he was this millionaire when in fact he had no money at all to give them. His manipulation is exactly what eventually landed him on a reality TV show. During this time period, reality TV was becoming overwhelmingly popular. Overwhelmingly popular. People were fascinated by watching other people being filmed by cameras 24/7. So reality TV became America's new addiction, and production companies were banging out reality TV show after reality TV show after reality TV show. This is where Megan Hosserman enters the story. Megan used to be a Playboy model, and she landed herself on a reality TV show on the former WB, which is now the CW, called Beauty and the Geek. She was a contestant on that show, and she ended up winning a $250,000 prize. She appeared on Bret Michaels' Rock of Love, then she appeared on the spin-offs of Rock and Love, I Love Money, and then Rock of Love Charm School. Needless to say, if you're getting asked to do spin-off after spin-off after spin-off, you're a popular TV personality. Whether America loves you or hates you, production finds you valuable for ratings and entertaining to an audience. It's why I got called back for so many spin-offs, because whether America hates me or loves me, I have what producers are looking for and I have what an audience is looking for. And so did Megan. On all of the shows that she did, Megan would always talk about how she wanted to date and marry a rich man. It's all she ever dreamed of in this world, is to meet a rich man who would take care of her to the end of time. Megan was offered her own reality TV show, and producers were like, hey, if this woman wants a millionaire, let's just fill a house up with millionaires and make it a dating show. The men that are picked can compete to make Megan their trophy wife. And then boom, Megan Wants a Millionaire for VH1 was created. VH1's casting ad for Megan Wants a Millionaire called for single, attractive men of the highest pedigree with a net worth of $1 million or more. These ads were put on radio stations, they were put in newspapers, they would even throw casting parties to try to find men that qualified. If you take like a quick second and you think about it, some concepts of some reality TV shows have been really f***ed up, superficial even. For instance, what does a woman trying to find a millionaire tell our young youth and society as a whole? It's basically saying, hey, women should only strive to date men that are worth $1 million or more, and it's possible. You just gotta land yourself a reality TV show to get it done. To label the competition as men competing to land this one particular woman to be their trophy wife is insane in itself, because I almost find the term trophy wife to be insulting, as if the woman you're marrying is worth anything more than just being good looking. Some women strive for that. There's a lot of women now in this day and age who their life goal is to find a rich man to take care of them, because they don't want to work and they don't want to do anything but be a trophy wife. So yeah, okay, I get it. Some people do have those goals and aspirations, but to put that on a television show for young teenagers to be able to see is not a good look. Because what if that teenager didn't have that mentality before watching the show, and then after the show her mentality has now been changed? Ultimately, the reality TV show brainwashed her. If that makes any sense to anyone. Maybe I'm thinking too deeply in it, but I just feel like that concept is a little weird. I know there's another show, and I don't know what channel it's on, but it also has to do with, like, it's called like Dating Rich or something. If anyone knows the name of the actual show, it's on currently, and like women and or men try to find people that are rich and date them. In my mind, every time I see a commercial for it, I'm like, this is like the worst type of television to put out to TV, because our youth is already because of all of social media and shit, and now we got these shows that they just click on and get engulfed in, because once you start watching one episode you can't stop and you just keep watching, and by the end of the show you're like, I need to find someone rich too. But what do I know? I did a show called Bad Girls Club. That show isn't good either, but Bad Girls Club didn't have some underlining message like, hey, you gotta be a bad girl to be successful in this life. In fact, our show is inspirational because it should have guided people on how the they should not be in life ever. But for real. Casting agents and producers met Ryan Jenkins at one of their casting parties. And at the casting party, Ryan put his manipulation and his charm up 100 notches, and he won the casting producers over. In fact, one of the casting producers would later be interviewed after this entire tragedy happened, and he stated in the interview that Ryan Jenkins had one of the best personalities on the planet. So when you do reality TV shows, the psych portion of casting is quite extensive. When I did Bad Girls Club, we had to take this written psych test that even had a mathematical portion of the exam, and it was timed. So you were on a time crunch and there were math questions. Pressure. Pressure. Then we had to take this other portion of the psych exam that was pretty much like the SATs, but for psychosis. Basically, it was to find out, are you a psycho or not? We had to answer the questions in the test on a bubble answer sheet with pencil, and we had to pick the best option for a question A through D. So it asked us a question like, do you hear voices? And then you'd have to pick A through D, what answer best fits you. Or it asked questions like, when I get mad, I do the following. And then A, B, C, D are options, and you have to pick the best options. And I believe there was like 300 or 400 questions. That portion of the test took about 2 or 3 hours. So then you had to submit that one. After you're done that, you then meet with a psychologist who is hired by the production company or the network, and you have to sit with him while he deciphers everything about you and whether or not he thinks you're a psychopath or not. And then after you're done talking to the psychologist, you have to then undergo a criminal background check. So basically you give them your name, your social security number, and then they send your information to a company that runs your background check to make sure you don't have a record, you wouldn't be violating parole, or you have not committed theft or robbery or murder. And then if you pass all of those tests and the network and the producers don't think you're a psychopath, then you'll get the call to tell you that you're cast on a reality TV show. And then boom, your history and then history of the show is created. During the process of Megan's reality show, Megan Wants a Millionaire, VH1, Viacom did background checks through an agency called Collective Intelligence. This company was based out of Washington State, and Viacom has been using them at this point in time since 2003. So they've been using them for a couple of years. However, at this point in time, Collective Intelligence only specialized in US citizen-based background checks. They could not do background checks for other countries. And at this point in time, Ryan Jenkins was not a US citizen, he was a Canadian citizen. So Collective Intelligence hired a subcontractor, third party, to run Ryan's background check. They hired Straight Line International. Straight Line comes back, they tell Collective Intelligence that Ryan's record is clean, and then Ryan gets cast to be one of the men on Megan Wants to Be a Millionaire. So here's the issue. Ryan's record was not clean. He had a record. In 2007, he was arrested for a domestic violence dispute with his then girlfriend. I believe her name was Farron Jewel. He got arrested and sentenced to 15 months probation, which included counseling for sex addiction and domestic violence. However, Straight Line International told Collective Intelligence that Ryan's record was clean. So at this point, Viacom, casting producers, everyone thinks that he is the perfect candidate for the reality TV show. However, he has a dark and violent past, and had this past been revealed during this process of casting, this story may have never been a story that was ever told. Ryan's past and his old record wasn't revealed until TMZ, doing their little digging, found his old arrest record, found out that he had been arrested for beating up his girlfriend, and put it out for the world to know. So how does TMZ find out about Ryan's record before anyone else? How? So one thing that confuses me about Ryan being casted on this show to begin with is the fact that Ryan was not a millionaire. So they were asking for men that were worth $1 million or more, and Ryan was obsessed with being rich because he wasn't rich, and therefore him being on the show makes the premise of the show already null and void and fraudulent. Because if you're putting someone on the show who's not even meeting the requirements of what Megan is looking for, then ultimately it's a waste of time and not realistic. Megan Wants to Be a Millionaire debuted on VH1. Only 2 episodes ever aired, but we'll get more into that later. On the first episode, when Ryan was introduced, Ryan described himself as a little bit of Prince Charming and a little bit of a bad boy. Shockingly, but not shockingly, he made it all the way to the finals of the show while filming. I guess we can't really be shocked by that because he used his manipulation and his charm to con his way onto a show about men that are millionaires, and he's not a millionaire. So I guess we can't be shocked that he conned his way into Megan's heart and mind to make him make it all the way to the end. When they were filming the show, Ryan wore a fake Rolex on his wrist, so it wasn't even a real watch. He was wearing a knockoff, and he had only 1 pair of pants to wear the entire time they were filming for 5 weeks. Now, if a man is rich, well established, of the highest pedigree, he would have more than 1 pair of pants to wear during a 5-week shoot. After Jasmine gets murdered, Megan does an interview, and she actually tells the interviewer that she really liked Ryan. She wanted to pick Ryan to be the winner. In fact, while they were filming, one of the nights they ended early, she went back to her hotel room and she looked Ryan up on Facebook. She messaged him, they exchanged phone numbers, and every night they would talk on the phone, and they were getting emotionally connected, talking to each other every single night, and no one knew this, not even producers. Producers had no idea that she was in her hotel room, cupcaking it on the phone with a cast member who she now wants to pick because she is falling for him because of their phone conversations on the phone. Reality TV is way different now because every show I have ever done, as soon as you get off the plane, a PA picks you up at the airport, they bring you to the hotel you're staying at before you start filming, they immediately take your phone. They stick it in a Ziploc baggie with a piece of tape and your name on it, and you do not get that shit until filming is over. They even tell the front desk that you cannot use the hotel room phone to call out. You're completely sequestered in your room, isolated from the outside world until filming has wrapped. No way in hell in any of the shows I've done have we ever had the ability to go to our hotel rooms, hit up whoever was on the show in a Facebook message to get a phone number to then talk to them on the phone. Never ever ever was that allowed on any Bad Girls Club show I've ever done or any MTV show I've ever done. Just was not happening. It was almost as if you went away for the period of time you were filming and the whole outside world, your entire reality just disappeared. The only reality was the reality they put you in while filming. Megan in an interview said that they were talking on the phone every night and producers didn't even know. Is crazy to me because shit is different now. At one point, Megan's on the phone with Ryan and she lets him know, hey, I'm gonna pick you. I really like you, man. And Ryan's thinking, I just won the show, my life is about to change, I get this hot girlfriend, and I'm gonna be known on VH1. He's thinking he's got this in the bag. Now Megan, she goes back into the show, she's having conversations with the producers about how she's feeling and explains to them that she is going to pick Ryan as the winner. Now producers didn't agree with her decision. They said America isn't gonna take well to Ryan. He's not favorable. However they were editing him or however he was coming off while filming, America isn't going to perceive him as someone that you should end up with. Producers never told Megan who she should pick as the winner. However, they did tell her every reason and then some of why she shouldn't pick Ryan to be the winner. Now they never flat out say, you can't pick Ryan. They just gave her every reason not to pick him and then some. Put a little fire to her ass. I know this to be true. Producers can't flat out tell you like go into that room and fight her right now. They can't do that. Legally they just can't do that. But they can say a few things to get you hyped up, to get you going. Like on Bad Girls Club, they can't tell you should go in the Victor twins room and fight them right now. They've started a lot of trouble on this season. It's about time they got a little trouble of their own. They can't technically say those words, but they can word things differently to make you get so mad that you on your own make the conscious decision that you are going to fight. So they won't tell you have to fight today, but they'll get you to the point where that's what the you want to do. After the producers tell Megan all the reasons why she shouldn't pick Ryan, she listened to them and she sent Ryan home. He was blindsided, he was upset. Now filming was wrapping in 3 days, so when the filming was gonna be over, Megan planned on picking up the phone and calling Ryan to smooth things over with him because she didn't like how it ended and they did start a relationship on the phone. So filming wraps, Megan picks up her phone, she calls Ryan. Ryan answers. And he's like, I have news. I was so upset when you cut me from the show. I went to Vegas, I met this woman, I think she's my soulmate, we already got married. And Megan's like, okay, like, damn. I was just calling to make sure like you weren't crying yourself to sleep after getting cut from my reality show, but it looks like you're already married. So he has moved on from being a loser on Megan's show. And Megan now felt better that she didn't drastically hurt someone that she started a relationship with. Now she knows she didn't hurt Ryan as much as she thought she did while filming the show. Now Ryan goes to Vegas. He goes and he attends this Hawaiian tropic party somewhere on the strip. Jasmine also attends the Hawaiian tropic party, and this is where the two people meet, Jasmine and Ryan. On March 18th, 2009, 2 days after Jasmine and Ryan met, they got married. Ryan and Jasmine got married at the Little White Wedding Chapel on the Las Vegas Strip. Just 2 days! 2 days after they met. You guys, what? This part of the story is a little confusing to me, because how does a woman meet a man at a party where there's drinking and who knows whatever else going on? Then 24 hours after the party, you're still hanging out, and then 24 hours after that 24 hours, you decide to head to a church and get married. What is going through a woman's mind when those actions are occurring? This is the part of the story that confuses me. I don't know why Jasmine decided that this dude was the dude she wanted to marry, because it seems like she had 2 previous really serious relationships. Both of those didn't end in engagement, but someone you've met for not a long time at all, you married. A couple of theorists believe that Ryan's actions of going to Vegas, finding a new blonde woman, and immediately getting married was to protect his own ego. He just did this reality show where he was competing to have this woman be his trophy wife, this woman being blonde, tall, and Megan denies him. He then goes to Vegas, he meets Jasmine, who's now a new blonde. He quickly gets her to marry him, and in his mind, Jasmine marrying him was like him winning the show. I got my trophy wife. Haha, I win, you lose. Needless to say, Ryan's mentality is Jasmine told her mother Lisa that she married Ryan so he could obtain his green card, because at this point his visa is about to run out. He wants to be in the United States because he just did a reality show and who knows where his life could go, but being married to someone would be easier for him. Later, I found out that Ryan offered Jasmine $10,000 to marry him. Probably used his manipulation and his charm to trick her into thinking, hey, if you marry me, I'm gonna give you $10,000 and then I'm gonna give you the life of riches and I'm gonna take care of you. I just need you to take care of me right now. So during Jasmine and Ryan's relationship, friends and family reflect on their relationship as being toxic and volatile. Now, like most psychopaths, Ryan hid his violent past from Jasmine, so she had no idea he had previously harmed one of his girlfriends. She had no idea what this man was capable of. She married a complete stranger. About a month into their marriage, Ryan's past comes to light. Jasmine now knows about his past. And this actually caused Ryan to take off his mask and reveal the true monster that he really is. And their relationship turned abusive real quick. Ryan started to abuse Jasmine emotionally and physically. He would call her names, he would hit her, he would kick her, he would toss her across the room. Jasmine thought she found this real life Prince Charming, this guy that was going to take care of her, someone she was going to put her entire trust into, and now he has broken your trust. She doesn't feel safe, and he's beating her to the point where now she's probably petrified and scared, because when you originally get into an abusive relationship, you don't know how to deal with those emotions. You don't know who you can tell, although you can tell anyone, especially if they love you, but those are the thoughts that are running through your mind. So Jasmine is now in this abusive relationship, and she's probably at the point where she doesn't know who she can tell or what she can do, and she's scared. Like some, if not most, Jasmine hid her abusive relationship from her friends and family, or at least she tried to. But at some point, Ryan got so comfortable with using Jasmine as a punching bag that he started abusing her in public, in front of random strangers and in front of people she knew. At one point, Ryan and Jasmine went to a pool party on a rooftop in Vegas. Some of their friends were in attendance at this pool party as well, including Jasmine's ex-fiance, Travis. Jasmine kissed Travis at this pool party. I don't know why she did that, especially if she knows her man is abusive, but she kisses Travis at this pool party and Ryan goes into a rage. They start arguing publicly about her humiliating him and disrespecting him and kissing another man. Ryan hit Jasmine so hard in her arm that she was knocked off balance, so off balance to the point that she fell into the pool at the party fully clothed. Jasmine ended up pressing charges against Ryan. This was in June of 2009, and Ryan was charged with battery constituting domestic violence in Clark County, Nevada. He was scheduled to go to court that December, but he would never make it. After this incident at the pool party, Jasmine and Ryan take a break from one another. Jasmine goes back to the single life and hits the Vegas scene and is doing what she would do had she have never met or dated Ryan. She is single, she's on her own, and she feels free from this psychotic man who has ruined months and months and months of her life. At this point, Ryan gets a phone call and he's asked to do a spin-off VH1 show called I Love Money 3. He accepts. He heads to Mexico to start filming. Jasmine's friends and her family were relieved that she was getting the away from Ryan because they knew from jump that he was not a good guy and not for her. And if you pay attention, you will know when someone is unhappy in a relationship. Take away the part where they're not telling you about the abuse. Let's just talk about their happiness in general. I'm sure people that loved her and really cared about her knew that their friend or their family member was not happy and bubbly like she was before she met this man. So her friends and family are relieved, they're happy, they can't stand him, they hope he never comes back into the picture ever again. It was good for her to get away from Ryan. But the truth is, she barely got away from him because the entire time he was filming, he called her constantly. Every time they took a break filming on set, he would call Jasmine, blow up her phone, ask her what she's doing, who she's with, accuse her of infidelity and cheating, and basically his insecurities would scream at Jasmine through the phone while he's on set. Even a producer recalls being on the set of I Love Money 3 saying that we painted Ryan's character as this dude that was obsessed with his ex-wife because he called her so much on the phone, and we filmed it and we thought it would be a funny storyline. Well, the storyline is not funny at all. On July 27th, 2009, from the set of I Love Money 3, Ryan emailed Jasmine professing his everlasting love and how they're soulmates. I'll go ahead and insert a piece of the email right here. Before this incident, money was a real issue in Jasmine and Ryan's relationship. He promised her $10,000 for marrying him. He promised her this life of riches. He was going to take care of her, and Jasmine was actually paying for everything. They would go out to eat, she would pay for it. They would go to drinks, she would pay for it. And any female on the planet would not want to be with a man who had no money. Cool, you guys want to split the bill, you get the movie tickets, he gets the popcorn, but to be with a man who has no money and no drive to make his life better is not attractive for any female. No female on the planet should want a dude who's a bum. And Ryan was a bum. Part of the reason he left to go film I Love Money 3 was to win the money. The prize was, I think, $250,000, and he would call Jasmine from set and say, I'm gonna win this $250,000 for you. I'm gonna give you the life I always promised you. I promise I'm gonna do this for you. Their fights were about money and infidelity. Ryan was so insecure about Jasmine and how men looked at Jasmine and how she talked to other people that he convinced himself and everyone around him that she was cheating on him. And even if she wasn't, he accused her so much that it probably would have driven her to do it. Like I said at the beginning of this video, the most confident men are usually the most insecure, because if he was confident in himself about his relationship with his woman, he would not for a second, be accusing her of cheating every 2 seconds. That's your insecurities, Ryan, not your girl actually cheating. So Ryan promises Jasmine this life of wealth and riches and being comfortable and never having to struggle. He promises her this life. At the time, Ryan knows he's lying to her, although in his mind he's probably so driven by money that he believes he can provide that life for her. But he's telling her that he's gonna give her this life right now. And Jasmine has no idea that he's a liar and a manipulator and believes his lies, and that the life he promised she's gonna get right now. A lesson can be learned right here, people, that how you date and who you date shouldn't be based on their money. People shouldn't strive to date people who have lots of money because you want to have this life that you promised yourself that he is promising to give you. Because at the end of the day, we're all strangers. Even the man you choose to love or the woman you choose to love, at the end of the day, they're still a stranger, someone you met, someone you're trusting your life and your feelings to, so you don't know when someone is lying. So when you date, you should be dating for love, not for what they can give you. Not saying that that's 110% what happened with Jasmine and Ryan, but if you marry a man after 2 days and most of the fights are about money, I'm saying it could be a factor because she probably married him under the pretenses that she was getting some money. Jasmine dyes her hair brown. She said bye-bye blonde. She dyes her hair brown. She packs her bags and she moves to LA. I Love Money 3 finishes filming. Ryan leaves set, heads home, and follows Jasmine to LA. Where you go, I'm going. I want to make this work. Reluctantly, Jasmine decided that she would give Ryan one more shot. She decided to reconcile with him. This decision would be the decision that ends her life. Ryan and Jasmine head to San Diego to attend a poker tournament. On August 13th, 2009, Ryan and Jasmine checked into the El Auberge Del Mar Hotel in San Diego, California. They got to the hotel sometime in the evening. They were supposed to attend a poker tournament that was a charity event and a fundraiser for the Karma Foundation at the Del Mar Hilton. Surveillance video footage caught Ryan and Jasmine leaving their hotel at 2:30 in the morning on August 14th. They were also seen at the Ivy Hotel, which is a nightclub in downtown San Diego. During this time frame, Jasmine had been texting her ex Robert, asking him to come get her. She was officially done with Ryan. She didn't want to be there with him anymore. She was over it. She needed to go. At around 4:30 a.m., surveillance footage shows Ryan running into him and Jasmine's hotel room. At some point, Robert received a text message from Jasmine's phone that said, "Suck it," which was clearly sent from Ryan. Possibly what set Ryan into a rage was her text exchange with her ex-boyfriend, Robert. Some theories believe that her phone went off, he grabbed it, he read their text thread, and he freaked the out. Or she left her phone out, he went through it. Either way, at some point, Ryan went through Jasmine's phone and sent this text message to Robert, telling him to suck it, which was not what Jasmine would have said to him. Other theories about Ryan's extreme psychotic break was before Jasmine reconciled with Ryan. She went to dinner with her ex-husband, Michael Cardosi. She was married before. Her ex was in jail, but on August 11th, he was released from jail and they went out to eat. Now there's a picture of them. The picture is circled around. Ryan could have seen this picture and in his mind was coming up with all these theories and was freaking out. And one of the theories is that Ryan always planned to kill Jasmine, that her murder was premeditated. It wasn't an act of rage. It wasn't because her phone went off and Robert was texting her. Some people believe that Ryan had the intentions of killing Jasmine and hopefully getting away with it. Jasmine's ex-husband was actually sent back to jail on August 14th, the last time Jasmine was ever seen alive for violating his probation. Text messages were sent from Jasmine's phone to Ryan's phone that investigators and police believe Ryan sent himself. That the text messages were sent after she had already been murdered. And police believe that Ryan did this so he could push investigators away from thinking he had something to do with her disappearance. He wanted cops or whoever was going to read her text to believe they were not together. Ryan sent text from Jasmine's phone that said, "Hey, I need to go get some stuff. I need to get my nails done. Babe, I'm gonna be back around 9 p.m. You should eat without me." Meanwhile, Jasmine is no longer alive. I was in an abusive relationship for what felt like an entire decade of my life, because it takes just so much out of you. And I remember we also went on a break and he begged me to give him another chance, and being young and naive and not explaining to anyone what was going on with me or what I was going through, I took him back. And I remember going to his house and we were in his room and my phone went off, and it was this kid I went to high school with that I've known for so long, that I've never hooked up with, would never hook up with. We're just friends. And my phone rings and I click it, like I don't want to answer it in front of this man. And he immediately goes into psychotic mode, and the person who was calling me ends up calling me again. And he rips the phone out of my hand and he picks it up and they're screaming at each other on the phone. And I know that my friend is screaming because he's like, "Dude, you're literally nuts. Like, I'm just calling my friend. Like, what's up?" So he tells him to meet him so they can fight. And I'm screaming and I'm crying and I'm begging him not to do this because this is my friend. Like, there's nothing going on between me and this dude. Like, what are you doing right now? So he picks me up by the back of my hair and he drags me all the way to his car and he throws me into the passenger seat. And we drive to this like baseball field in North Andover, Massachusetts. It's like right in downtown, like right before you're gonna either go right into North Andover or left into Lawrence or onto the 495. And it's always really quiet in that area at nighttime. It's like ghost town. So he pulls up to this baseball field and he gets out of the car and he opens his trunk. And I'm like, "What the fuck are you doing? Like, don't do this. Like, what are you doing right now?" And he takes this crowbar and he plans on going to fight my childhood friend, who I've never even looked at that way or thought of that way, for calling me to check on me to see if I was good. And so he runs down to the field, I run down to the field, and my friend had like 4 dudes with him, and they're all like yelling at each other, and he's like waving around his crowbar, and they're just going back and forth and back and forth. And I went to go stand in between them to tell them to stop, and I'm screaming at the top of my lungs. Like, you know when you scream so loud, it's almost like your voice is scratchy and almost like you're in the Twilight Zone, like this can't be happening. Is this really what my life is like? Is this what I'm doing? And as I go to stand in front of him, my then quote-unquote boyfriend knocked me out. Hit me so hard in the back of my head that I fell to the ground. And I don't know how long I was on the ground for. I don't know. But I remember waking up in the middle of the baseball field, and I was alone. I was just laying there by myself. And I get up and I touch the back of my head, and I don't have my cell phone because he has it in his car that is no longer there because he took off. And my friend, or who I thought was my friend, took off with all his boys. And I think now that I'm older, I realize they all took off because they probably all thought I was dead. And at this point, my parents live in Methuen, and it's freezing. The grass was wet because it rained maybe the day before or earlier that day, but the grass was wet. And I was in so much pain, I felt like a bus hit me. And I walked from that field all the way home. All the way home. And you would think, like, after that moment, I'd be like, Dad? Mom? I didn't. In fact, almost a year later, or two, I pack my bags, I drop out of college, and I follow this dude to California where he abused me even more. So I understand that what happened to Jasmine that night could have happened to me, or could have happened to any female who's in a similar situation, that something as simple as a friend telling you, hi, how are you, checking in on you, could send the person that you're with in this extreme rage that you might not survive. So, I'm just gonna take a 5. Cops believe that the physical fight between Ryan and Jasmine started in the car. They believe he beat her really badly in the vehicle, and when they got back to the hotel, Ryan didn't want to carry a beaten Jasmine into the lobby. So he pulled up to the back and planned on bringing Jasmine through a private entrance in their bedroom by the patio. On the outside of their hotel room, in the patio area, there was splatters of blood and also strands of Jasmine's hair. So police theorized that Jasmine could barely walk, so he dragged her to the back patio door, realized the patio door was empty, left her beaten and battered there, went into the hotel, ran to the room, which is why you see him running to the bedroom, not walking, to grab her from the back patio door before anyone saw her or noticed. At around 5 a.m., Ryan is seen again on security footage, leaving their hotel room holding the hotel phone set. Cops believe at this point Jasmine must have still been alive because he was holding the phone set to make sure when he left the room, she would make no calls to the lobby, to another bedroom. He wanted her to have no contact with anyone outside of him. He's then seen walking to go get some ice, and then he is seen walking back into his room where he stays for about another hour and a half. Cops believe in the room he probably tried to apologize to Jasmine for abusing her for the 100th time, and she just kept saying she was done. He was begging her not to tell anyone what he did to her, and she probably was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm physically and emotionally and mentally exhausted. And with her resilience towards him, they believe he killed her. Ryan is seen on surveillance footage again, leaving the hotel around 9 a.m. Jasmine, however, was never seen again. On August 15th, around 7 a.m., Jasmine's body was discovered, but it was not identified. Her body was stripped naked, she was badly beaten, including a broken nose, and her body was crushed inside of a suitcase and thrown into a dumpster in Buena Park, California. All of Jasmine's teeth were missing, and so were the tips of all her fingers. Police knew that whoever killed her was trying to hamper the body by taking out the teeth and the fingertips, so investigators could not identify who the body belonged to. Her official cause of death was strangulation. At the same time Jasmine's body was being discovered, Ryan made his way to a West Hollywood sheriff's station where he filed a missing persons report for his wife, Jasmine Fiore, who he told cops went missing the night before while running errands. Police asked Ryan to describe his wife, and Ryan told cops that she had perfect teeth and that she had just left to get her nails done. Ryan told police that he last saw Jasmine at 8:30 p.m. on August 14th at their home. Really, Ryan? Because you're on security footage at a hotel on August 14th, you idiot. On August 16th at around 9 a.m., Ryan is seen leaving him and Jasmine's penthouse for the last time. Ryan leaves LA, he heads to Vegas, and he picks up his speedboat. On August 17th, cops call Ryan looking for him. He tells them he's in Utah, but he's heading to Canada to work out some immigration issues. On August 18th, Jasmine's body was officially identified. They were able to figure out that it was Jasmine because of her breast implants. Her breast implants had serial numbers, and after finding out the serial number, they could find out the doctor, and then through the doctor, they found out that the body belonged to Jasmine Fiore. On August 19th, Ryan called his dad from Birch Bay, and his dad informed him that Jasmine's body had just been found and that she had been murdered. Meanwhile, Ryan already knows she's been murdered and that her body was going to be found because he did it. Sometime between August 19th and August 20th, Ryan somehow, someway crossed over into the Canadian border. He was on the run from police. On August 20th, Ryan was officially charged with Jasmine's murder and an arrest warrant was issued. Now at this point, this news has broken everywhere. It's in headlines, it's on the news, his picture is out. Jasmine's picture is out. He's being hunted right now by police. They are looking for him, and he has crossed over into Canada to run away from police. Meanwhile, the US has told Canada about Ryan, and Canadian citizens are being warned of Ryan and being told that he could possibly be dangerous and to look out for him.
Sincere and heartfelt condolences to the family and friends. And I can also promise the vigorous and judicious pursuit of justice in this case. And I can now announce that as of this afternoon, we now have a warrant for the arrest of Ryan Alexander Jenkins for the murder of Jasmine. Last night, officers from the Blaine Police Department in the state of Washington recovered one of the vehicles that we had previously announced. That vehicle is the black 2003 BMW X5. The white 2007 Mercedes-Benz CLS 550 with paper plates is still outstanding, and we continue to ask the public's support and assistance in locating that vehicle. At this time, it is our belief that the suspect has crossed the border into Canada, and we are currently working with the Royal Canadian Mounted Police in our attempts to locate him. Last night, the black BMW was located in the city of Blaine, Washington, with a boat trailer attached. Later, a boat, which is owned by Ryan Jenkins, was located in Port Robert in the state of Washington.
At this time, while we believe he has crossed into Canada, we're not 100% sure of that, and there will be no stone unturned, and we will look under every rock for him.
There's a lot out on the internet. You can read all about it.
There's a lot that's not true.
And there's a lot that's not true.
She was.
Yeah, we can't talk.
Jasmine was a beautiful person. She was a very caring individual. She loved her family and friends. And a lot of the information that you're seeing on the news is not true. We had a very close relationship for a long time, and she was just a beautiful person. This message goes out to the family, his mother and father, and to the friends that are helping him try to leave this country. Ryan Jenkins is an animal. What he has done to Jasmine is unspeakable. It's just not right, and I appreciate your help. Please understand who you're helping leave this country, and we ask for your support to bring Ryan to custody.
Your question was about mutilation? Yes, we're prepared to answer that question at this time. Yes, the fingers and teeth were removed. Okay, I'm sorry, sir, say again. Well, that's an ongoing investigation. I can't comment on that right now.
On August 20th, while Ryan was making a run for it, he calls his dad again, but his dad had actually been detained at the airport and had to hang up his call. Meanwhile, cops get an anonymous phone call from somebody who reported an abandoned white Mercedes-Benz in a parking lot next to Trader Joe's. They go, this car gets towed, they investigate this vehicle ends up being Jasmine's car. They get inside the vehicle and the vehicle itself looks like a crime scene. There's blood everywhere, from the front seat to the back seat. The back window is covered. One of the cops described her vehicle. It looked like an oil painting made with blood. Their car was actually abandoned only a couple miles away from the penthouse they both lived in. There were mud stains on the tires, which suggested to police that at some point her vehicle must have gone off the road, and it could have been if they were in some type of struggle, if Jasmine was trying to get him to pull over so she could escape the vehicle. They assume at one point this vehicle went off the road. Police also discovered a handwritten note from Ryan in Jasmine's glove box. Now, I couldn't find the specifics of this note online, but in reports, police described that the letter written to Jasmine was full of jealousy. Later that day, on August 20th, around 6 p.m. in the evening, Ryan arrived in a silver PT Cruiser with a young blonde woman at the Thunderbird Motel in Hope, British Columbia, Canada. The manager, Kevin Walker, who was working, recalls them parking by the dumpster, not by the rooms, which he thought was very odd. But the young woman got out of the car while Ryan stayed in the car. She came, she paid for a 3-day stay in cash for the hotel room, and he recalls her being calm, cool, and engaged in small talk while he was registering Ryan's bedroom. Kevin also told police that the woman that was with him stayed for only about 20 minutes before she got into her car and left and never returned. This woman would later be revealed as Elena Jenkins, who was Ryan's half-sister. Kevin, the motel manager, remembers seeing Ryan outside of his bedroom on August 21st for a brief period of time. He said that Ryan looked like a man that was very unwell, unkept. He did not look like the man that was on TV when he made his television debut. He looked exhausted, he looked worn down, and he described Ryan as a man that looked like he was at the end of his rope. August 23rd comes around and it's day 3 and time for Ryan to check out. At 11:30, Ryan didn't check out. Kevin, the manager, knocked on his door, but no answer. He then went back to the main desk, called Ryan's room, no answer. So then him and his nephew went to Ryan's room, used the key pass to get in, and there Kevin discovered Ryan hanging from a clothes rack in his bedroom, dead. He killed himself. Kevin said that the room smelt like death and that Ryan looked demonic. And that is the only way he knew how to describe something that he will never unsee. Ryan hung himself in the motel room from a clothes rack using a belt.
Hello. Then I slid the door open further and he was hanging from the coat rack.
The international manhunt for Ryan Jenkins is over. The man suspected of killing model Jasmine Fiore is found dead in a hotel room in Canada. Good evening, I'm Giovanna Lotta. This is Eyewitness News at 11. A motel manager in British Columbia discovered Jenkins' body late this morning. Jenkins was wanted for allegedly killing his wife, stuffing her body in a suitcase, and leaving it in a trash bin in Buena Park. Eyewitness News reporter Shubha Ravindran is live in Buena Park, where we're learning more about Jenkins' final days on the run. Shubha.
Well, Giovanna, authorities believe that Ryan Jenkins had taken his own life sometime earlier today. It appears he had been hiding out in a small motel in British Columbia for the past few days. It was the hotel manager that eventually discovered his body. It appears he had hanged himself. Ryan Jenkins' body was discovered just before noon today in this hotel room at the Thunderbird Motel in Hope, British Columbia. Motel manager Kevin Walker found the 32-year-old hanging from a coat rack.
I opened up the door, just opened it up slightly, case I was interrupting somebody. And the computer was sitting on the bed. There was a few other things on the bed, and I was asking hello. Then I slid the door open further, and he was hanging from the coat rack.
Walker says Jenkins arrived at the Wayward Motel on Thursday night. He says an attractive woman in her 20s checked Jenkins in and then left about 20 minutes later. Walker says in person, Jenkins did not look like the buff man shown on television.
He didn't look like the man that was on the news. He was very gaunt.
Canadian authorities were called out to the motel once Jenkins' body was found. They used fingerprints to identify him.
At this time, the investigation into the circumstances of his death is continuing, but preliminary evidence suggests that he took his own life.
Jenkins had been on the run for a week, ever since the body of Jasmine Fiore was found stuffed in a suitcase in a Buena Park dumpster, her teeth and fingers missing. Orange County District Attorney Tony Rakakis believes Jenkins acted alone to kill his wife.
Our understanding is that, or at least the way it looks, is that it was a jealous anger, and resulting in beating and the death and strangulation of his wife.
Authorities say it's obvious the reality TV star was running out of options.
He was certainly out of hope. There was no way he was going to be able to get away. He was stuck.
The ring was tightening on him. We feel it had been. He obviously was desperate.
Police did not find a suicide note in the room. However, when they seized Ryan's things, they did find on his computer a document saved to his desktop called Last Will and Testament. This document was dated on August 20th, 2009, 3 days before his body was found. On August 27, 2009, investigators also found a storage unit in Washington State that had all of Ryan's belongings, even packed suitcases. So I believe in this situation, Ryan thought possibly he could have gotten away with killing Jasmine and was going to make a run for it. But then her body was discovered and he was the only suspect and the primary suspect, and he realized that his plan to run away was never going to happen. And like a coward, he killed himself. In his last will and testament, he apologizes to his family for any trouble he may have caused, and also says that all of his belongings, everything, was to go to his family members. And never once in this entire note, last will and testament, did he acknowledge his wife's death or take accountability for his wife's death, which is chilling. He did, however, put in the note how much he loved Jasmine, but also how angry she got him and how jealous he was of all of the relationships she had outside of their marriage. An abuser always likes to blame the person he's abusing. After Jasmine's murder, VH1 show Megan Wants a Millionaire was taken off the air and canceled. VH1 deleted the show's page off their website. All reruns were canceled and the show was never aired again. VH1 also announced that they would not be airing I Love Money 3 because of what had happened, and Ryan was actually the winner of that show. He won the cash prize like he said he would. The production company of Megan Wants a Millionaire, 51 Minds, made a statement that had they known about Ryan's criminal past, he would have never been cast on the show. 51 Minds suffered a huge financial hit. Viacom, VH1 hit them with a $12 million fine for unused footage. Collective Intelligence, the company that did the background checks and hired the third-party subcontractor, also got into some financial issues. After the incident, they immediately contacted Straight Line International to find out what had gone wrong. They wanted to see all the documents, how they came to the conclusion that Ryan had no record whatsoever, but Straight Line ignored all calls and emails. Collective actually sued Straight Line for breach of contract and also for the loss of valuable business that they had with Viacom and VH1. In July of 2011, Collective actually won their lawsuit for $800,000. I think it's a shame, and I think it's so frustrating that Ryan is such a coward that he will never ever be faced and penalized for what the he did to Jasmine, because it's actually horrific. But what's more frustrating is that we will never know what exactly happened or how it happened. Police can only go on theories because the two people that were involved are both gone. What's also frustrating is that we won't know if Ryan had help getting rid of Jasmine's body or help getting her body to a dumpster, and we also won't know if he had help fleeing to Canada. It seems like a lot for one person to do in a short amount of time. For example, his half-sister. Was she willingly helping him? I mean, she did drive him to a motel. She parked away from the bedrooms. She paid in cash. And by this point, Canada has already been alerted that Ryan is on the loose and he is someone to be on the lookout for. So was she helping him willingly? Did he threaten her? What happened there? She never got in trouble, and that question has never been answered. Ryan's dad claims that Hollywood ruined his son, and the man who committed those crimes was not the boy he raised or grew up with. But the thing is, Dad, that is who your son is, and that is who your son became long before Hollywood, because his first domestic dispute was in 2007, long before he got casted on a reality show, and long before he was in Hollywood. And he wasn't even in Hollywood for a long enough time because his second show didn't even air, because he killed someone and then he killed himself. So no, Hollywood isn't how your son became the way he was. Your son was a monster. Now, I don't know what his personal life was like. I don't know what happened in that household when he was a child. But Ryan, on his own, somehow, some way, became the monster he was, and the man who killed Jasmine on his own accord. It had nothing to do with the Hollywood lifestyle. His parents either didn't see the warning signs, or maybe Ryan learned this behavior from watching his father. We don't know what his personal life was like at home. Hollywood is no excuse for murder and what Ryan did. I can sit here and I can say that some people chase fame and chase money, and along that journey of chasing, they change themselves. But even through changing, it doesn't cause a person to brutally beat people on a regular basis and then eventually kill them. Hollywood can't do that. It just can't. So that is today's really long and dramatic case. I can't even imagine. Jasmine was only 28, I believe, when she got murdered, and she was so young. She had so much life to live. Her dreams were ready to be fulfilled, and this man stole not only months of her life before she got murdered, but then he stole her life. And then, like a punk ass bitch, killed himself because he couldn't deal with what he did. Before I end this true crime, I'm going to say that domestic violence happens often, and a lot of people do not tell anyone about it. I myself was in an abusive relationship for years. I hid it from my mom, my dad, my sister. Everyone that loved me had no idea what I was going through, and a little bit was shame, and a lot of it was because he convinced me that I was a piece of shit, that no one was ever going to believe me or love me. And when people beat you down enough, you start to believe them, and that belief makes you want to keep your mouth shut because you don't think anyone's going to help you. You're not sure if he loves you because maybe you've never had love before. There's so much that could be in abusive relationships, but all I can say right now is, please, if you know someone who could be in a bad situation, call the domestic violence hotline. If you yourself are in a bad situation, call the domestic violence hotline. You don't want to keep forgiving them and forgiving them and forgiving them and taking them back and taking them back and taking them back, because one of those times you take them back could be the time that they kill you. There was one time I decided to take the guy that I thought I loved back, who has hit me and beat me and ruined so many days of my life, and we're sitting on his bed, and he takes a plastic shopping bag and he wraps it around my head, and I can't breathe. He's tightening it, and he's tightening it, and he's tightening it, and I'm thinking to myself, oh my god, this is how I'm gonna die. And I start thinking about how I'm never gonna see Gabby again, or my dad again, or my mom again. There's so much I want to do, and like how much time I've wasted with this guy, and I can't believe because of this I'm not gonna, this is it. My final moments are on this dude's bed with a plastic bag over my head. And then he whispers in my ear and he says, what if I killed you right now and put you in the dumpster? Those are his exact words, and I'll never forget it. And I thought, oh my god, he's gonna kill me. He's gonna put me in the dumpster, and my dad's gonna have to identify me at the morgue. And he finally let go, took the plastic bag over my head, and I was gasping for air. And he was like, oh damn, like you really almost died that time. And then I fell asleep next to him, and I remember like laying there and just staring at the ceiling for what felt like an entire decade. Then I went back to my own apartment that I had in San Jose, and I called my dad and I said, Dad, book me my flight home. My dad booked me my flight home. I got on the flight. I land at the airport, and my dad starts weeping when he hugs me because I'm 82 pounds. I look non-existent. I'm skin and bones. And he said, I really thought I was gonna have to identify you in a morgue. And I just looked up at him because that's the exact thought I had that night. And I don't know why that night I said, I'm done. It could be that I was on the brink of death, petrified. I don't know, because he hit me before. He's done terrible things before, but that particular night I said, I'm done. And I went home and I had to start over. I lost all my friends. I lost everyone close to me because they just thought I was being this naive girl chasing a dude wherever he went, because I never told them. And still, maybe years after that, I finally told my parents what I went through. But this isn't about me. I'm just saying, for women who are out there and you're dealing with abuse, you can survive. You can let go. You just need to talk to someone. My biggest regret in all of my life is never ever speaking to someone about what I was going through. I think about how many times I could have died or should have been dead, and how God gave me more chances. Talk to anyone, please. Call the hotline, call the police station, call your sister who you don't think loves you anymore because you haven't talked to her in a year, because she does love you and she will pick up your call. Call your mom, call your dad, call your uncle. Someone loves you enough to help you, and you guys will figure it out. God bless Jasmine Fiore. God rest her soul. Fuck any dude like Ryan Jenkins. They're like literally you guys. You guys are pieces of shit. Any man who can put his hands on a woman is garbage. Like this NFL player, Chad Wheeler, who beat the shit out of his girlfriend, and when she woke up and ran to the bathroom had the audacity to say, oh, you're still alive. This needs to stop. It starts with women speaking up. You are better than a man telling you you're nothing. You're somebody, and get help, because you're gonna need it. These men will hit you once, hit you again, and they'll keep hitting you until one time they don't hit you anymore. They just kill you. So I beg of you, please, if you need help, please get some. Give this video a thumbs up or a thumbs down, but as I always say, if you're giving it a thumbs down, you probably shouldn't be on this channel. But if you are gonna be here, make sure you hit that subscribe button, but also hit the bell, because if you don't hit the bell, you will not get notifications, and if you don't get notifications, what is the point? There is none. Most importantly, click the link at the top of the description box to follow me and Gabby's Wave channel, the Victor Twins Wave. We have more exclusive content, story times, old YouTube videos that were taken down, vlogs, you name it, it's gonna be on our Wave channel. All my social media is also in the description box, so follow me there. I love you guys to the moon and back. I'm sorry that I cried for a little bit, but those type of conversations are always hard to get through, but even though they're hard to get through, you can do it. I promise you, you can do it. And I'm praying for every single person out there that is laying next to someone that they're petrified of, because it's the scariest feeling in the world. The even scarier feeling is the feeling that you get when you feel like you can't call someone who loves you to death, tell them that you're petrified, when you can. I wish I called my dad. I wish I told Gabby. I wish I told my mom. My life would have been different, and I would have been saved a lot earlier than that time he put a plastic bag over my head and asked me, what if he put me in the dumpster right now? Because what if he had put me in the dumpster? My family would have never recovered from that. They would have never recovered from that. I love you guys. Just remember, anyone who loves you would never hurt you. You would never hurt yourself because you love yourself. So staying with someone who abuses you is hurting yourself. So stop hurting yourself, start re-loving yourself, and get the help you need, and get the fuck out of that relationship. Put him behind bars. Bye.